One Punch Man vs. Thanos, a character who can knock out anyone just by hitting them once, and the Mad Titan who recently killed off half of the MCU. Who would win in a fight? Let us know your pick in those comments below with either hashtag #OnePunch or hashtag Thanos. Hey everybody, welcome back to Versus. It's a series that we do here on Top 10 Nerd where we take your favorite characters and throw them in the ring together, and see who would win the hypothetical battle. I'm your host Kelly Pally, and today we are jumping into one that's pretty comical if you think about it. One Punch Man vs. Thanos. Now, before we begin, a few rules to consider. In this hypothetical battle, these two are meeting for the first time on a barren expanse of land, and have the full extent of their powers as they do in their universes. This means that One Punch Man retains his one blow you're out ability, and Thanos has hold of the fully loaded Infinity Gauntlet, as he currently does in the MCU, and neither have any outside help. Now with all that in mind, let's jump in. Let's start this off by looking at their origin. One Punch Man started off as a Japanese superhero webcomic back in 2009, which grew rapidly in popularity. The story followed One Punch Man as an extremely OP'd superhero who had become incredibly bored, having no one capable of providing him with any sort of challenge. Eventually, the webcomic began being published in Weekly Shonen Jump, and later got itself an anime adaptation. The manga was even nominated for an Eisner Award back in 2015. But what about the character's fictional backstory? Well, One Punch Man, aka Saitama, decides to become a superhero and join the Heroes Association, after strange monsters and supervillains begin to emerge on his unnamed Earth-like supercontinent planet. He became a hero for the experience, but soon grows bored with his superhuman powers when no one is strong enough to actually challenge him. Thanos, on the other hand, has more of a hefty history. Let's look at his history in the comics though, since most of you are probably familiar with the Mad Titan's history in the MCU. Now, Thanos first appeared in 1973 in the Invincible Iron Man issue 55, created by writer-artist Jim Starlin, who also penned some of the most popular story arcs for the character. Starlin came up with the idea for the character in a psychology class, stating, I quote, "I went to college between doing US military service and getting work in comics, and there was a psych class there and I came up with Thanos and Drax the Destroyer, but I'm not sure how he fits into it, just anger management probably. So I came up to Marvel and editor Roy Thomas asked if I wanted to do an issue of Iron Man. I felt that this may be my only chance ever to do a character, not having the confidence that my career was going to last anything longer than a few weeks, so they got jammed into it. Thanos was a much thinner character and Roy suggested beefing him up, so he's beefed up quite a bit from his original sketches, and later on I liked beefing him up so much that he continued to grow in size." Now, in addition to this, Starlin also noted that the character's aesthetic was very much influenced by another famous comic book villain created by Jack Kirby. Starlin said, I quote, "Kirby had done the New Gods, which I thought was terrific. He was over at DC at the time. I came up with some things that were inspired by that. You'd think that Thanos was inspired by Darkseid, but that was not the case when I showed up. In my first Thanos drawings, if he looked like anybody, it was Metron. I had all these different gods and things I wanted to do, which became Thanos and the Titans. Roy took one look at the guy in the Metron-like chair and said, beef him up. If you're going to steal one of the new gods, at least rip off Darkseid, the really good one." And thus Thanos was born. The character, according to his fictional backstory though, was born on Titan, one of Saturn's moons, and is an Eternal. Eternals are a race that was created by the Celestials 5 million years ago when conducting genetic experiments on early proto-humanity. Alongside the Eternals, they crafted another race known as the Deviants. The Deviants were genetically unstable and appear grotesque, whereas the Eternals resemble humans, but they're immortal. The two races would eventually become enemies. Now, when Thanos was born, he was privy to some pretty bad luck. He carried the Deviants gene, and therefore shared the physical appearance of the Deviants. His mother, filled with anguish and shock, tried to kill him as a newborn, but was prevented from doing so by Thanos' father. Thanos was alienated from others of his race, and during his developmental years as a child, grew into a pacifist, playing only with his brother Eros, and eventually became fascinated with death and nihilism. This obsession would later cause the Mad Titan to fall in love with the entity Death. Being incredibly knowledgeable, Thanos scientifically augmented his body when he was an adult in order to make himself more powerful. He would try to forge a new life for himself by becoming a pirate, which ultimately gave him no satisfaction, until he was visited by Mistress Death. In an attempt to impress her and to win her affection, Thanos set out on a quest to build an army. He nearly annihilated all of Titan and began seeking out the Cosmic Cube. After Captain Marvel, the Marvel version, defeated him and destroyed the Cosmic Cube, Thanos decided to change up his plan. Having met Adam Warlock and learning of his Soul Gem, he concocts a plan to siphon energy from the Soul Gem to destroy a star, but is eventually stopped by Warlock and the Avengers, and is turned to stone. Thanos is eventually resurrected, and decides to collect the Infinity Gems again, and this time created the Infinity Gauntlet in order to wield them and become omnipotent. He eliminates half of all living things in order to balance out the universe and impress Mistress Death, but his plan is eventually thwarted and reversed thanks to Nebula and Adam Warlock. Nebula stole the gauntlet from him when he was distracted, and Adam Warlock was able to retrieve it from her afterwards, recruiting Thanos after having a little chat with him about the Mad Titan's undeniable self-doubt. Now there's a whole lot more from there on out, but hey, this isn't just a Thanos history lesson video, so let's move on. Alright, let's move on to abilities now, starting off with Thanos. Thanos is an Eternal. This means innately he's immortal and has amplified superhuman superhuman strength, speed, agility, durability, and longevity. Through his bionic amplification, his powers are beyond that of an Eternal's, and he's practically invulnerable. He can absorb and project large quantities of cosmic energy and has shown that he's capable of telekinesis and telepathy. He's also incredibly resistant to psychic attacks. He has an immunity to diseases and illnesses from Earth, and he's an expert at hand-to-hand combat, having been trained when he was young on Titan. In addition to all of this, he's got a superior genius-level intellect, and has crafted much of his own advanced technology. In the past, without the Infinity Gauntlet, he's held his own against Galactus and the Asgardian god Odin. Also, like we said, Thanos has the Infinity Gauntlet in this fight. While we're sure most of you are pretty familiar with what each of those stones in the gauntlets does, let's break it down for you all anyway. Also, for the geeks in the crowd, in the comics they're called the Infinity Gems, but in the MCU films they're called the Infinity Stones. But for the sake of this video, we're going to be using the term gems. So, what are those gems capable of? Well, for starters, when they're all collected, Thanos is omnipotent, and that's pretty much a game changer there. But here's what they do individually. The Power Gem allows its users to access and manipulate all forms of energy. It enhances your physical strength and durability, along with any other superhuman abilities the user may already have. The Time Gem allows the user to manipulate time, speed up time, reverse it, stop it, slow it down, see into it, travel through time, de-age or age beings and objects, loop time, you name it. It essentially allows the user total control over the past, present, and future. The Space Gem manipulates space, as its name implies. This means that the user can move anything or anyone throughout reality. They can teleport, warp or rearrange space, alter distance, and the laws of physics. The Reality Gem alters reality, even if that alteration is in contradiction with any of the laws of science, and it alters reality to whatever the user desires. The Mind Gem allows one to access the thoughts and dreams of other beings. It also enhances your mental and psionic abilities, and when used in association with the Power Gem, it can access all of the minds of those in existence simultaneously. It's essentially the manifestation of the universal subconscious. And the Soul Gem? Well, it allows the user to manipulate, control, steal, and alter the souls of living and dead. At its full potential, one can control life all across the universe. And in addition to this, the Soul Gem also holds the Soul World inside of it, which is an idyllic pocket universe. Plus, when any of these gems are backed up by one another, it increases their power significantly, so having them all together is pretty darn dangerous. But you know, if you've seen Infinity War, we probably don't have to tell you that. Alright, so what about One Punch Man? Well, it's pretty darn simple actually, if his name didn't give that away. He can defeat anyone with one blow. But because of this, he struggles with depression, and often can display a lack of interest in his foes. But over the years, he's done pretty impressive things, the likes of smashing an incoming meteor. He defeated the alien dark matter thieves' all-powerful leader, Lord Boros, with, obviously, one punch. His speed has also reached 4% of the speed of light, which definitely is an impressive feat. And he once jumped back to his planet from the moon. Plus, on top of all this, Saitama is arguably indestructible by normal standards. He wasn't affected by what appeared to be a black hole. Lord Boros wasn't even able to scratch him. And that being said, a lot of people believe Saitama is holding back a lot of power from what we've seen in his stories. Alright, so on to the fight. Now this fight could go one of two ways. First is that One Punch Man could go right up to Thanos, punch him, and we'd be done. Fight finito. But that's assuming that Thanos would just let Saitama walk right up to him and punch him. Not overly likely. He is omnipotent with the gauntlet after all. And Saitama's speed just doesn't match the speeds of what we've seen in the past from Thanos. Now, if Thanos didn't have the Infinity Gauntlet in his possession, the odds are much more in One Punch Man's favor. Thanos, being eternal, has a whole lot of endurance, but not nearly enough to withstand Saitama's be-all end-all punch. But with the Infinity Gauntlet, he's omnipotent. The kind of power Thanos has access to is capable of avoiding One Punch Man's powers. Who's to say that Saitama would even be able to get close enough to the Mad Titan when Thanos has the Time Gem and the Reality Gem at his disposal? Thanos could turn back time if he's quick enough to react after being hit. Unlikely, but still. Thanos having the Mind Stone would immediately be able to gauge what kind of power Saitama has. He could also easily open up a portal with the Space Gem and send Saitama to a whole other universe. He could use the Reality Gem to alter the nature of One Punch Man's ability, although that's pretty unfair. And if Thanos felt like a challenge, he could alter reality to give himself the same ability as One Punch Man to make things interesting. Or he could do his now painfully trademarked move and turn Saitama to dust. Dark, but a possibility. So who's the winner? Thanos. At the end of the day, the Infinity Gems just provide way too much foresight on Thanos' part, and they also provide an arsenal of solutions for Thanos to pull from. Now, we've discussed Thanos in a lot of our other Versus videos on this channel, and typically when it comes to him taking on another character one-on-one while having the Infinity Gauntlet in his possession, there are only two ways that someone else could ever beat him. First off, it can't be a one-on-one battle. You need to at least be coming at the Mad Titan as a team. The way Thanos is usually defeated is by being distracted. The other way to victory is the other reason why Thanos has lost the gauntlet in the comics: his own self-doubt. Hey, maybe One Punch Man with his depression and Thanos with his insecurities could just sit down and have a real heart-to-heart rather than beating the crap out of each other, or not beating the crap out of each other and you know, working around that with all their powers. Unlikely, but hey, still a funny thought. Alright, there we have it, friends. Do you guys agree with our Victor here? Let us know in those comments below. If you'd like to see more Versus videos, we've got a whole nifty playlist just waiting for you to click it that's hanging out on your screen right now. If you dug this video, spread the love and hit that like button. And for more nerdy videos, subscribe to Top 10 Nerd. Thanks for watching, everybody.